Well, winter is nearing, and there are several classifications of gardeners. There are hobby gardeners who just grow basically from Memorial Day to Labor Day. There's other gardeners who grow as soon as they can chisel a seed in the soil, all the way up to frost and freeze. And then there's others who grow year-round, whether outdoors through devices such as low tunnels and greenhouses, and or indoors, such as under grow lights. We're going to talk about growing indoors and what's best to do indoors over winter, what can be grown and what can't be grown. And this segment is sponsored by Happy Leaf LED Grow Lights.
The segment is sponsored by Happy Leaf LED Grow Lights, proudly made in the USA, a grow light for beginners or advanced indoor gardeners. They have universal LED recipe that means you just turn it on and watch your leafy greens, herbs, and vegetables, any plant really, grow and thrive. It's the anywhere, anytime garden, a professional-grade grow light with a home gardener's affordability. No fans, no motors, just plug it in and grow. Find out more by visiting happyleafled.com. Again, that's happyleafled.com.
Several models to choose from: a mini 4-inch, a standard 17, and a big 33-inch, as well as other lights. They understand the spectrums of light and how the LED and the color spectrum the plant requires in order to grow correctly. And we use those in seed starting, and we also grow over the winter with those Happy Leaf LED lights, and they are top of the line on the market when it comes to a grow light in which you can utilize inside any time of year.
Right. So when you're growing indoors, you need to designate a growing area, especially if you are using a grow light. It's good to make sure that that area is just for indoor growing. Also, if you have nosy pets that might eat your plants or children that might investigate your plants, you would want to make sure that it's safe from kids and pets.
You can, with the Happy Leaf LED grow light, which we use, we put underneath in a corner bedroom. We've got a table, and we hang it underneath the table because it's so compact, and the spectrum of light and the distribution, the footprint of the light is so wide, it works very well, and you don't have to adjust the LED Happy Leaf light as the seeds emerge. You can set it at a standard height. We usually put it at 16 inches and let it go a little. The plants do not stretch because the intensity of light is enough in which the plants have for the requirements for it to grow, unlike a traditional tube light. Now, there are some things that are very easy to grow indoors. There are some things that are not that easy to grow indoors. So let's go over the easy things and the ones that we have found the most success with over the years.
So one is herbs, and herbs you definitely don't even need a grow light for if you have a south-facing window. If you have even an east or west-facing window, you can get it with growing herbs, and pretty much any herb.
The north face, that's when you need some additional light, because there's not a whole lot of light coming in on the north-facing window. Basil, sage, rosemary, thyme, all of those work very, very well when it comes to growing from seed or from start. Now, we're talking about growing indoors over winter. You can grow indoors year-round. There are people that do this that don't have the availability of a ground garden or a community garden. They're in an apartment, or they're in a living facility or a retirement home, and they do this, and they're able to grow not hydroponically, but it's stagnant in mason jars under the grow light. Passive hydroponics, where you don't need the addition to air stones and a bubbler. It'll grow very easily in a mason jar.
So you're going to grow herbs. That's a good option.
Yeah.
Now, another option is greens. So you can do microgreens. You can do just regular greens, any combination of that. So
lettuce, leaf lettuce.
Yeah, so leaf lettuce. Microgreens are just basically greens you're trying to grow, but then you use them faster before they become full maturity. Usually
about a 6 to 9 day turnaround. Once the seed emerges and gets about 2 inches to 4 inches tall, then you cut it off and you utilize that as the edible portion. You don't wait until the plant, as you said, gets to the mature state that we're familiar with in that aspect of it.
Yep. And then you can also do sprouts. Now, sprouts you don't need any direct sunlight for. So, and all you need is basically a mason jar and either like a little screen or some old nylon, some sort of very porous material. And you put your seeds in the mason jar, you cover it up, and then you rinse them very thoroughly. And you do this every day, kind of as you shake it up twice a day. and then you'll get sprouts, and it happens very quickly.
Just like you would at a, let's say, a sandwich shop. They ask if you want sprouts. Do this if you're going to utilize the prospect of growing sprouts. Grow them your own. Don't buy them in the store because there's fraction of a penny to grow versus dollars that you buy at the store.
And there are fancy sprout growing mechanisms that you'll find in the seed catalog or whatever, and it's the garden supply catalog. It's not worth it. You don't even need a mason jar. You could use like an old glass spaghetti sauce jar or what have you. So that's definitely an option.
Let's go to a little bigger realm of indoor growing, and that can be cherry tomatoes, beans, and even dwarf citrus trees.
Now, we have a dwarf citrus tree. It's not doing so well, but it served us well.
Many years.
It served us well for many years. It's got scale on it, and we couldn't bring it back. It's just kind of, I don't even know what it's doing. It's
surviving, but the life expectancy is getting very short on that tree because the problems with the scale that we're dealing with.
However, you can grow. You don't need a grow light for that. We have it in our south-facing kitchen window. Provided us limes for a long time.
Dozens and dozens of limes.
A lot of limes.
The only thing, the asterisk next to that conversation is you have to hand pollinate the male flower to the female flower because you don't have any pollinators in the house. So you just keep a Q-tip and you take the pollen from one or the other, and it worked extremely well. Very, very fragrant flower, fragrance.
But then what was weird is that right before it would put on the little limes, it would smell like garbage.
Yeah, it would stink. It would absolutely stink.
But that only lasted like a day or two, so it was fun to grow. So
the tomatoes now, that's the one that people are probably most interested in. I can grow tomatoes in winter over winter under a grow light. Yes. You would want to go with now we have done both. We've done a dwarf variety, which only gets about 16 inches high. Works very well. They're on the porch right now. Very prolific. They get about grape-sized tomatoes. We have grown full-size tomatoes indoors as well. Now, that was a normal black crim plant that we chopped down and continued to shape and control the shape of the canopy in order to get a tomato to grow. The downside to a large tomato indoors is it becomes very thick-skinned because it takes a longer time in order to ripen. The cherry tomatoes on the dwarf tomato plant, which migardener.com has, just crazy amount of tomatoes that one of these produces. And you don't have to self-pollinate a tomato plant. You want to put a fan on it. You want to just tap it. It'll be fine because then it will pollinate itself. The male and female reproductive organs are both in the same flower, and it works fine.
Right.
So that worked very well. Now you can also do beans.
Yeah, we did beans in a very small hydroponic system, but you could also do it in a just like a soil or some other sort of growing medium. But that is something you can grow indoors, and you can get quite a few beans.
Bush beans worked very, very well for us. And you don't have to have a lot of one plant for us produced enough for one meal. Now, the reproductive or the time in which the beans produced over again took a while because there's only so much time in which it takes for, a bush bean takes 40 to 60 days to reach maturity and then bears its fruit for the bean for 2 to 4 weeks, and that's about it of the life cycle. So you'd have to kind of figure out if you're going to do that. Now, what medium in which we can grow in indoors? We just can't bring the garden soil in, put these plants in, and then expect everything to be wonderful.
Right. So you can do anything from soil. You will get soil gnats initially, but then they do go away. And you can bake your soil to prevent that if you want. Otherwise, you can just kind of deal with them for a few days. You can do compost. That's kind of another option. Or you can do something like coco coir. And coco coir is, the byproduct of the coconut industry?
The coconut husk is ground up, and that's the fibers in which it's a medium. Now, it has no nutrient value whatsoever, but you're adding a nutrient to that, whether in a liquid form, diluted into water, and that acts like it's a sponge and holds that and the plant uptakes it as it is needed.
Right, and when you do that, you do have to add the nutrients. Same thing with something like aquaponics, and these are not the same nutrients that you're adding. You're adding different nutrients. I mean, I think they can be the same, but typically it's different, right?
Yeah, can be the same. Hydroponics is the process of water growing in water. Aquaponics is the process of using fish waste pumped through underneath the roots for the uptake of that waste of the fish to grow the plant.
If you've ever been to the pet store or a big box store and they sell those beta fish tanks that have the fish on the bottom and on top is like a plant, that is a very passive and simple way to think about growing aquaponically. So that is kind of an example where the fish is feeding the plant with their waste, and it's something that you can have in your home. And so then on a larger scale is the more of the aquaponics.
And some of these aquaponics are warehouse size.
Right.
Millions of
Some
gallons.
people do them with like Rubbermaid containers in their home.
Yeah, so that just because it's winter, that doesn't mean. And again, we're not talking utilize the whole basement or the whole bedroom. You can do this on a very small scale with the Happy Leaf LED grow light and or south-facing window. We've got herbs that grow year-round in the south-facing window. So that is a little bit of how you can grow indoors over winter very easily. So just because it's cold outside doesn't mean that growing season is over.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.